professional, let me tell you this, the salary number going up just because it was showing Mel's leave and vacation and all that stuff that finally came out of our coffers, finally hit the books rather last month. Other than that, I don't see any changes. We did have the budget meeting as we talked about last meeting. I haven't heard any follow-up from that, so I don't think any real decisions have been made, but we did put in a decent request for, I believe, two extra full-time people and some extra funding for our existing staff. Okay, are there any questions on this? As you can see, I'm eagerly moving forward. Any questions or anything? Okay. Oh, hi. I'm glad you're here. Okay. All right, so this says on new business, this says commission decides on executive director selection. It's actually commission decides on executive director because we've already talked about the selection process several times. So I would love to open that up. What I would like to start with, if everybody's okay with this, I would like to just review for you all. We had a huge pool of applicants. We narrowed it down to 12. We then the hiring committee narrowed that down to about 8. And then we did 20-minute phone interviews with each one of those 8 individuals. And then we picked our top 3 out of that and had in-person meeting with those. Those were all public meetings, and 3 of our additional commission members did join and observe that, so thank you all. Commissioner Mann and Robinson, and I believe, who else was here? It was, yes, thank you. Garlinda Burton was also there. So they were observers. They were witnesses, basically. They did not participate in the process. And that was, a half-day process. So this is our follow-up from there. We decided to bring bring forward to the commission, because the commission decides ultimately who the executive director will be. So we decided to bring forward to the full commission all 3 candidates and have a discussion about that so that those members that were there could add their insights and anybody else. And then we will go in for a vote. And it's not a motion. I'll basically just say, candidate A, vote, candidate B, vote, candidate C. If we have difficulties in terms of ties or whatever, we can address that. So I will happily yes, go ahead.
Just to add one more thing, and I might be wrong about this, so correct me, but if we cannot come to a consensus, this process starts all over again, just to be clear, and just understanding where we are at. No pressure that we have to or anything like that, but just to name the fact of what will happen if we don't come to a consensus.
It's not consensus. Oh. Let me be clear. It's a vote.
Yes, okay, so majority.
Yeah, majority, exactly.
Got it.
So, however many people are here, whatever the highest number. And it's just the highest number of votes, basically.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As long as there's an odd number, I'm good.
Yeah, it's just the highest number of votes. So even if someone abstains and,
okay,
does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
Thanks to all the committee for all the work on this. I know that it's been a lot of hours and very much appreciate it. Will you all give a since you will all have much more information, you'll give a recommendation of the 3?
Thank you for bringing that up. I would love the committee to speak on each of the candidates if they would. I'd be happy to open it up and then we can discuss it, or we can just dive in if anybody wants to quickly go in if you guys have a preference. But we don't have a chosen or preferred candidate. They were very qualified, really good ones, and so we wanted to bring it up for discussion here. But I expect that you will hear from everyone that was there to chime in. Ben, did you want to say something right now? Okay. So this is, again, a high-level summary. High-level summary. So please do delve into the other observations and thoughts that you all had that were there, and anybody else in addition. So the first candidate's name is Paulette Coleman. So this is, again, very high level. We talked for 45 minutes with each one, and then 20 minutes prior to that. So it's going to be really difficult summarize everything. Major takeaways: valuable and mutually reciprocal relationships in Metro, including with the mayor and the council members, and she has established relationships with community members and organizations. So very long-lasting relationships and reputation here in Nashville. In-depth knowledge, dedicated years to affordable housing issues and knows them intimately and is respected in the city on this issue. So that's a major point for her. She's detail-oriented and a bootstrapper. Reviewed the MHRC website prior to the interview, found issues and things to improve, is concerned with making MHRC relevant for citizens and the community. Also willing to do what she can with the resources available. And generally, you're going to see three kind of pros and three sort of opportunities or challenges. Narrow focus on issues, wasn't as strong in talking about other issues of concern in Nashville, such as economic justice, workforce development, and education, as strong as she was with affordable housing. Though these were named, there wasn't a technical or in-depth understanding of the forces and factors involved. Incremental approach, she works incrementally for results within existing norms and systems. And a lack of regular proximity sensitivity to various populations. Doesn't have a strong grasp on issues affecting LGBTQ+ and immigrant populations. So that's a high-level summary of Paulette. And then everyone can chime in once I complete this, if that's okay. Charles Bryson. Major takeaways: sensitivity and experience working with the marginalized populations, strong track record working with immigrant, LGBTQ+ populations, and advocating to bring them into leadership positions, and has an accurate and sensitive use of language around these populations. Working experience with Title VI and more, incorporated Title VI compliance into agencies through policies and protocols established by his agency, and made compliance a tool for ensuring equality in government. Working experience with multiple government departments and active trust building within the community. Oversaw public safety, worked with police and fire departments, strong understanding of bureaucracies and public safety infrastructures, created strong bonds with community by showing up to meetings and neighborhoods. No knowledge of Nashville, would have a steep learning curve in getting to know community leaders, issues, and landscape. Only government experience, no real experience as an outside advocate, experience solely in government. And finally, Nashville's circumstances different from St. Louis, where he is based and worked. Marginalized groups have some representation in Nashville, but power holders still fail to address needs. So just a slightly different context. And then finally, Davey Tucker. Okay, so go big or go home, is not afraid of professional reputation or consequences, willing to speak truth to power and make big demands on government leaders. Not interested in incremental change. Wide breadth of knowledge on issues, engaged and demonstrated success in a wide breadth of issues, including criminal justice reform, affordable housing, trash pickup, government contracting, and police reform. Strong relationships and trust in the community, deep bonds and relationships with community advocates and members across many issues, a strong advocacy on many issues alongside community leaders. Low attention to detail in administration, slow responses to emails regarding recruitment processes, incorrect address for interview. Seeks more funding for staff, risks that this will not come to pass, and possible issue if plans to continue current employment while holding ED position. And that's just, a question of whether one position will be held while doing the other. And that is the high level summary. I would love to invite the other executive committee members or anybody else who is there to provide insight on any of these.
Or if anyone has any questions.
Or questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
I didn't understand the last comment about the job. Is this a job where you can hold another job, or is this a job that?
It possibly could be. So it would be basically just a question. Yeah.
Where does that come from? I would assume that this is a full-time position.
This is a full-time position.
And the fact is that both candidates, Ms. Coleman and Mr. Tucker,
Okay, both
have current positions. Mr. Bryson is not employed. No longer employed.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Or is it Dr. Coleman, I presume, and Reverend Tucker, are they saying they want to keep their current
No,
position?
we have not talked to them about it at all.
Well, so
it's-
here's the problem with this, and I'll just rant a little bit.
Go ahead.
The rant is that this is a very cumbersome process. In a normal hiring situation, you would sit down and have a conversation with somebody, and if you had questions that came up along the way, you would follow up and get answers to those questions. That's not how this worked. The way this worked is that we had a series of questions that were expressed to each of the candidates. Each candidate got the same questions, gave the same opportunity to respond, and once they answered those questions, we just moved on to the next question. So, your question is a very logical one. If I see an application that says that somebody is currently employed, not my first question, but along the way, I'm going to say, okay, what do you plan to do about that? But we weren't allowed to ask that.
And just to add to that, we can't ask it later unless it's a public meeting.
And,
So, like,
and we have to
that's
ask
the other
everybody
issue.
the same question. I
That's right,
believe.
and we have to ask
That's why
everybody the
it's
same
just like an
question.
added bullet point that we could clarify maybe in the job offer or something like that. Basically, the HR told us we can just clarify that in the job offer.
So the job offer could be contingent upon
Resigning from the
the applicant resigning from their current position. And of course, if they say no, then then you got to decide. Then you got to decide that you go to Plan B.
Yeah, and candidate B. Thank you. Would you like to
That's a
comment on
little bit of a pickle, because if you offer the job to candidate A and then candidate A says, no, I'm not going to quit this other job, candidate B might say, go pound salt now.
Say again?
Candidate B might not be interested in being the second choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's like a
We-
very
We
real
run this risk.
risk.
So, we need to get some discussion on this. So, I guess my take after listening to going through the interviews is that I think we were very lucky to have 3 highly qualified finalists. We couldn't have asked for more. Mr. Bryson, although highly qualified, has the problem of not being from Nashville. Although he has great experience, although quite frankly, and it wasn't clear to me, but the agency which he came from in St. Louis, which he was director of, does not have the same kind of function that we have. That agency actually is more involved in hearing complaints and resolving those complaints, although that is within our purview. That is not something we have spent a whole lot of time on, or really any time on. I think my understanding is that during her tenure, Mel received a number of complaints. She ended up dealing with those and resolving them herself, and none of those ever came to the commission. But, if you read through our mission and we read through even our notice, if somebody can bring something to us, we can hear it, and they have a right to appeal a decision that we make. So that brings us to Davey Tucker and Paulette Coleman. And again, I honor and respect what both of them have done in our community over a long period of time. After thinking about this a lot, I'm ending up supporting Davey Tucker. And the reason for that is that I think over his period of time, both before serving on the commission itself and since, he's involved himself in a broad range of issues that impact our community, and done so in a way that has broached age and demographics, which I think is very important. And I think an example of his leadership is the commission hearings that we had, which is something that we have not done previously. I admire and respect the work that Paulette Coleman has been done on affordable housing over many, many, many years, and I know that she is also aware of other issues in the community. I don't think she has been involved in those issues in terms of breadth to the extent, same extent that Davey Tucker has. So I have to say that although Davey Tucker was first on my list initially after our initial meeting, I had further questions and really had to think about it because both he and Paulette Coleman made very impactful presentations to our committee. But that's sort of where I ended up after thinking about it for a while. I'm not one to make snap decisions. I sort of like to chew on them. That's why I like to have Smarties, because it helps me think about it. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm happy to just follow up with that. Mine will be quick. I second everything that Erwin said. I think I'm also probably going to vote for Reverend Tucker. And again, the razor-thin margin, I think both brought a lot of great things to the table. The razor-thin margin was the knowledge of issues. I think that the other... Yeah, I think while Dr. Coleman spoke a lot about affordable housing, and I think would be able to really grasp that issue, when it ranged to other issues, I think that like immigrant communities or LGBTQ communities, things like that, I think that that's where I felt, again, personally more, I think Pastor Tucker's answers resonated more with me, and so that's probably the direction that I will lean as well, but I'll open it up to other commissioners. And again, I want to be very clear, razor thin margin. I think the hiring committee and those who are there can testify to how much we were just like back and forth. But that's kind of after I've put some thought in it too and ate some Smarties, I guess I felt the same way.
I guess I'll piggyback on both comments. I was on the committee as well, and I will first of all thank my other committee members for going through such a strong pool of applicants and choosing and going through the process. I do think that all three are viable candidates, and I do think that what Commissioner Zurzak brought up, I do think all three are viable candidates, that they should be. We should think about that should things not work out in terms of employment or what our conditions are. But I do think that our city is going through extreme growing pains. They're more than growing pains at this point. We're at critical junctures at this point. And for me, Dr. Coleman is extremely qualified, well experienced, done incredible work throughout the community. That goes without saying. But in terms of vision and the courage to go forth to kind of speak for all people in the city as the city continues to grow and get richer for some and not for others, I do think that Reverend Tucker is the right person to lead this commission.
Anybody that was present to observe want to comment anything? You don't have to, but I just want to give you an opportunity. Okay.
I think all three of them. Is it not working? I think all three of them as well were exceptional candidates. And I'm going to piggyback on everything you guys said. However, I'm going to focus on that whole issue that I heard you all talking about as I stayed for the conversation afterwards about the need for and the importance of attention to detail. And the candidates that you felt would actually have that skill and who did not. All of them know Nashville, well, the two, Paulette Coleman and Reverend Tucker, know Nashville, are well known in Nashville, have contacts in Nashville, know the right people to contact to get stuff done. They know how to make their way around Nashville. The only concern that I have here is about the conversation that all of you had, which went on for a very long time, about the lack of attention to detail for where each candidate landed on that issue, is what I'll say. It's a lot of stuff that has to go on at one time, a lot of juggling that has to happen at one time. So that whole, with a very small staff, like 2 people. So that piece is very important to me, and a necessary piece to consider when we're making a decision about who to vote for executive director. So that's what I just want us to keep in mind, because you don't have anybody that's going to run behind you and keep up with all the things that you have to do and point you in the right direction and stand you up in front of the group. So that's what I think that we also need to consider when we're talking about or making a decision on who to vote for our executive director.
Thank you so much for that added comment. I think that's really important because you were there for all of it. Any other questions from our fellow commissions? I will say that they were long interviews, so you're getting a very, very high-level review of them. We asked about leadership, management style, issues, previous advocacy or work that you did. We covered a lot of things, so we're just pulling up the things that kind of stood out to us. Otherwise, in terms of management and leadership, it seemed like all candidates really understood how to lead a body forward. So we had confidence in that. So that's why it's not really something coming up. All right. Yes.
So Commissioner Richmond cannot.
So she's on I-24, which is a parking lot right now. I am trying to delay somewhat so she can add her 2 cents in the conversation. Yeah.
And Commissioner Burton was also there.
Yeah, she was. And who is this? Okay, not. But I don't know how far away. Barbara, could you find out how far away Marissa is?
She was not specific, but she said she's definitely in the room. I can check and see.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Can we?
No, that wasn't the question. The question was whether she could be called on the telephone.
She must be present, he said.
She has to be present?
But in order to address this body, she has to be physically present.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just, if she was already a member whose term had expired, she's
public.
And then there was someone else that could make comment, but because she's still a member, she must be
Physically present.
So technically, she could resign and then offer her comments.
On that point, I might use this as a moment to talk on that issue so we can buy ourselves time if everyone's okay with that. So it did come up about several of us are on, our time is lapsing on the commission. 2 of our members, Commissioner Mann and Commissioner Richmond, will be termed out on April 18th. And obviously, we are so grateful for your service and are going to miss you very much. So those are the 2 that will actually be termed out. The rest of us have all different kinds of mix-ups with it, or mashups in terms of term limits. But basically, we start anew April 18th. And unless the mayor puts someone in our place or chooses not to reappoint us, we basically just generally roll over into our next term. So I know there was some concern about, does anything official need to really happen? It doesn't actually have to. So if the mayor's backed up and not able to address some of this stuff that we've read about, commission and board stuff, then we're all valid members of the commission, those that have remaining terms left. So I just wanted to answer that question that was on our minds. Yeah.
If we are shifting gears, can I also talk about procurement a little bit, just to stall?
Is everybody okay with that? I know it's...
I wanted to address this,
Oh, go ahead.
the commission here, because
Yeah.
I noticed that my name, it says my term ends 2/19/22, but are you saying I've automatically rolled to a second term?
You do. You have 3 years more And so I believe, does his 3 years start from February and then go all the way to February? I don't think it starts in April. If you've like replaced a term or started at a different time.
I would need to double check. What I'm familiar with is if your term expires and there is not a successor appointed, you may continue to serve until
Such
a
time.
successor is appointed.
So I can vote on this thing today and everything is no problem?
Yes.
But as to whether that extends into an entire new term, that's a separate issue from being able to continue to serve until your successor is appointed.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm not saying that's ruled out, but I haven't examined that issue.
And having talked to staff and who've been through this a bit when mayors have been overwhelmed and not able to take action, it's just, you've just rolled into your next 3-year term, basically. That's what's happened in the past. Okay, let's quickly, I guess, talk about procurement, and then I'm going to loop back around. Hopefully Marissa will be here. If not, we will just move forward in this discussion about the next ED.
Yeah, just real fast. So, Barbara, I haven't checked in with you since our last meeting. I apologize. Have we gotten any new applicants? From last I checked, I think we just had the 2. Is that correct? Okay, so I think we've just had the 2. So what I was going to say is that in our next meeting, in the May meeting, would love to just have them come. And again, I think that the idea was that we would create a subcommittee to come up with some questions. Currently, I think the subcommittee was Commissioner Diaz, Commissioner Mann, and myself. Obviously, Commissioner Mann is now rolling off. I apologize for the delay, but would love to maybe have at least the 2 of us. Is there anyone else who would be interested in helping build these questions for the procurement board?
You can also do like we did with the interview questions and have the commission send questions if they have them.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Via email to the staff.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'll have Mark or Brenda, we'll do, if you do have questions that you would like to ask the procurement candidates, that we would send them to Barbara or Mark. I will figure out which one, and they will send an email out to you all. And then I was going to propose that we maybe have the staff reach out to those candidates and see if they're still interested in serving on the procurement board. And then if so, we would maybe cut off the applications in about 2 weeks. So I will think the exact date would be the 23rd, 2 weeks before the meeting, and then we would bring the candidates in for our May meeting to do an interview process and then vote. Does that sound like a good process? Does that work for folks?
So they would be here. So they would be here, and we could talk to them directly. Good to see you, Commissioner Richmond. We've been delaying for your arrival because we'd love to hear any thoughts or insights you have about any of the 3 candidates that were presented.
Does that work for procurement? You know, I figured we haven't had enough interviews, so I thought we would do a little more, you know. So. Great, that sounds good. So Barbara, we'll be in touch, and just keep an eye out on your emails for those upcoming processes, unless, Erwin, do you have a question? Okay, great.
I would ask, if possible, if you could perhaps summarize as best you can comments that were made previous, so Commissioner Richmond will be up to speed on where we are.
Okay, quickly, we presented our overall thoughts on each candidate, sort of the pros and cons on all 3. Generally, do you want me to go through all 3 of them, or just? I think
Well, I think it would be helpful just so she knows what has been said rather than.
Okay, so I went over sort of the major things. So Paulette Coleman's great depth of relationships with the government, with mayor, with the council, with community leaders, really basically expertise and years of experience advocating on affordable housing, and just attention to detail, going into the website, wanting to improve it, make it more citizen-friendly, make us more relevant in citizens' eyes, and then just her kind of narrow focus on affordable housing and not lacking sort of a breadth of awareness on all the issues that affect the commission, not as much proximity with certain populations, including the LGBTQ plus populations and like immigrant populations, and I believe those were the main things. And then we talked about Mr. Bryson and just being, highly qualified in terms of working within the government bureaucracy, bringing Title VI into a very enforceable place throughout those agencies that he worked with, working with police and fire and all the departments and understanding that, really having a strong sensitivity and language to many marginalized groups and disenfranchised groups, and being very intimate in terms of showing up to their meetings and building those relationships. But again, just not having the knowledge of Nashville, and working he's a government guy, but in the government his whole career, so not a ton of experience advocating from the outside or being a sort of an involved citizen in that way. And then finally, Davey Tucker, just really ready to sort of speak truth to power, not that concerned about what will happen reputationally, or really, a big interest in asking for big things and making big demands. And secondly, wide breadth of relationships as well, particularly with community, and an advocate on a wide breadth of issues. So everything from housing to trash to criminal justice reform to workforce development, has a depth of knowledge on all things, many things affecting the Human Relations Commission. Not a strong attention to detail, sort of missed a few emails, showed up late to the interview, had the wrong address, etc. I think, and a big, would like a large staff to be able to do things, so there might be a risk that funding and that opportunity is not granted, and then would be left with similar resources as we have now. And those are the three. And then Pratik spoke, Erwin spoke, and Ben spoke. Everybody kind of, again, spoke about how difficult it was really to choose, that both Paulette and Davey, because Bryson was outside of the city, just not as strong a contender, but both Paulette and Davey were really, really strong candidates, strong in different ways. And ultimately, everyone is leaning towards Davey Tucker right now for the wide breadth of issues. The knowledge on the wide breadth of issues is what I heard pretty much across the board, in terms of just knowing the various populations and knowing their issues pretty intimately and in relationship with those. I think that's basically been the deal breaker. And then, yes, Commissioner Robinson chimed in and brought up the big debate that we had afterwards about this attention to detail issue and how that is when you're managing an office, and how that is when you're juggling multiple priorities. And there's just a lot of grunt work in this job. There was a lot of grunt work that Melody did, and so just making sure that we take that into consideration. So I think that somewhat summarizes it. So we'd love to hear from you, Commissioner.
I don't have anything to add to what to the summary that you just gave. That when we went over it during the meeting a couple weeks ago. Again, I think we've got three strong candidates, and it's a difficult choice.
I do want to add one more thing of whichever candidate we choose. I think the one thing that really resonated on all three candidates is that we as a commission are going to get pushed. Like, we are going to have to do, I feel like they were very demanding of us as a commission. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, hiring committee, which I'm excited to lean into, but just setting that expectation, resetting that expectation for us to maybe being a little bit more of a working commission at times. So just, not that we don't, but just throwing that out there. Mariam, sorry, we are a working commission. Let me be very clear, especially after this last month. But just saying that it's not going to stop is what I'm trying to say.
I just wanted to bring up one point, which is the next executive director, if I'm not mistaken, has a line, because Melody was going to hire a research and policy person, staff member, but she did not do so because she was fading out, and she wanted the next executive director. So the question of staff and help and support will be, we're still understaffed, but there will be an additional person, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know who to ask.
Yeah, we have that person, and then we requested an additional. I don't know if the mayor's office is going to give us that additional, but yes, we have that role existing.
For at least one.
Yes, so that would make three, and an intern. Barbara, I'm looking, yeah, that's your understanding, yeah. that person gets to come back, for sure. It's just that I think Mel just didn't rehire because she was leaving and wanted to leave it up for the next ED to come in. And the fourth FTE that we requested is a compliance person. So a trainer, basically, on Title VI and Title VII and all the things. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can move for a vote. This is how it's going to go. It's just by number of votes, so it's not a motion, it's nothing like that. I'm just going to say candidate A, and hands go up in the air. Is hands or a voice? Does it matter? Voice, maybe? Well, I just need to be able to count.
Well, just in case there's ever a elected position, I would recommend that you don't have to have a voice vote, but whoever votes for a candidate's name should be included in the record. And whoever votes for candidate number 2, their name.
Okay.
And just to be clear, are you allowing only votes for one candidate? Then you will need to know their name, so
Yeah.
one didn't vote twice.
I would like to do one vote per commissioner so that we don't have the problem of overlap and whatnot. Is everybody okay with that process? One vote for commissioner? Yeah?
Can I also ask legal, the question about candidates A, B, and C? Do we have to vote on whether or not they're still viable if they're come in second place with votes? Or is it a yes or no vote for the job? Or are we simply ranking them by vote?
You vote your preference for the job offer.
Okay.
Each one of you individually casting your vote receive the offer of employment. Now, remember, it's only to make an offer of employment because I think someone addressed they may decline.
Right. That's my question, yeah.
And so I have the same question, is if they decline, does this process restart or can we go?
I'm just going to tally per individual. And so whoever's the next number is the next person.
Still viable.
Yes.
That's generally the process.
Great.
Okay.
And I should say that if there is a tie among, see how many of you are there?
There's 11, I think. Oh, 12.
You could end up with a three-way tie.
No, don't.
And then you need to set some rules on whether you will allow a revote, or a new vote, I should say.
Yeah.
Or if two end up tied for the top spot, are you then going to eliminate the third candidate and allow a vote? You might want to specify that as a ground rule going in.
Okay. So the process is, I will say a name of a candidate, then I will ask for your vote. Each commissioner votes once. So you don't get to vote for each candidate in a ranking form or anything like that. I will take the names of each individual that votes for each candidate. So please keep your hand up, and I'm going to go through and just say your name out loud so that I can write it down, and maybe Barbara, you can do it with me. And we will do that for all three candidates. If we find a tie of any sort, we will have to redefine the process to be able to break that tie. Is that sufficient, Derek, for now? And yes, and I will be keeping a tally of the first and the second and the third vote so that we have that should anything go wrong in the first offer, in the job offer. I want to also remind everyone that we do also need to discuss the compensation after this, and I will give guidance around that, including what our previous director was making and whatnot. So we'll do that after this. Speaking of job offers. All right, so for the decision of the executive director of the Metro Human Relations Commission, I would like to submit for the first candidate to be Paulette Coleman. Can I see the votes for Paulette Coleman? Okay, I see Commissioner Mann. I see Commissioner Richmond. I see Commissioner Robinson. Thank you. For the candidate Charles Bryson, do I see any votes? Okay, I'm just gonna. 0 votes for Charles Bryson. For candidate Davey Tucker, can I see the votes for candidate Davey Tucker? Okay, I get yes back. Okay, great. I think it's, can you tell me your last name again? Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Mohammed? Dash. England, what's your last name? Okay. I only know some people's first names. Tran and Yusuf. Yep. And, oh, sorry. Okay. So those are our votes. So we have 3 for Paulette Coleman, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for Davey Tucker. So we have a unanimous vote for the next not unanimous, sorry, majority vote for the next executive director to be Davey Tucker. Okay, and we don't need a motion for that. All right, great. Then let's move on to compensation, if everyone is all right with that. So starting compensation, yes?
Just for clarity, once you all elect to decide the compensation amount, you will need a motion in a second to authorize making the offer of employment for that amount.
Making the offer of employment, okay, okay. Thank you. So, thank you. So, the starting salary is $84,000. Our director left at $121,000 approximately after 6 years. So those are basically the parameters. Obviously, you can take years of experience, knowledge, expertise, education, all those factors into account. But we are the ones that are deciding this as opposed to a human resources department. So I know it's a bit bizarre, like all of this process has been. So go ahead, Erwin.
I communicated with Ms. Hadley this morning, and I asked specifically whether we provided information about what previous executive directors have started their tenure at. Do you have that information?
All I have is the last one at 84.
It's very disappointing to me that we're not provided that information. That is.
Did she say she would give it to you?
She said she provided information to you.
Yeah, that was all.
Well, that's very discouraging to me.
I have a question. Mr. Vanek, were you finished?
I am done.
Is the only information we have the starting and Mel's last salary?
Yes.
We don't have any kind of salary range or how that would possibly work?
That's all I was given.
I'm sorry, could you repeat those numbers again?
Yeah, I can while you're texting. I believe the starting was 84,000, and then Mel's salary when she left, I think they said 121. Is that correct, Mariam?
Yeah.
121. I did a little math just so folks know. It's about per year, it's about a 6,100 increase if I did my math right. So just letting y'all know.
I guess more information I would like before I would make a decision on what I think that salary would be is whether this is actually a full-time, fully committed employment.
It's a full-time position.
And it's not okay, I'm still going to do this other job for 20 hours a week.
No, it is you have to do this job only.
Okay.
And just in response to Commissioner Yesbak's question, according to the position description that was circulated with the job, the salary range is from $75,762.97 to $136,373.35.
Thank you for that. And,
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you for that. And I would say that, it's a wide range, and typically that's what those are there for. And those reflect sort of, again, years of experience, education levels, and knowledge. So if we assume our candidate is, depending on where we assume our candidate is on those things, so years of experience, I would say fairly high. So this is not someone coming out of their master's or PhD program, but someone who's been working on these issues for several years, 10 plus years. So that would, for me, put them beyond the starting salary range. And then education and whatnot, usually that's a PhD or something like that that tips the scale a little bit. That's not as relevant here. And then expertise, if there's any technical expertise, that usually can tip you in a certain direction. And I don't think that's necessarily relevant here. So I think mostly we're deciding on years of experience and generalized knowledge on these issues. So I would recommend a mid-range on this, particularly given as Ben Tran commented, the increasing cost of living in Nashville.
And just,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, good.
I also wanted to highlight that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, $2016 when Mel started, $84,000 then are about $99,600 now.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. So 75 now would be for someone, I would say, very early in their work career, probably.
So if we just did a mid-range of an average of the 84,000 and the 121, add them up, divide by 2.
Well, I think you're using the wrong top range, though. What was the top range of it? 136? 137.
Oh, I'm using the other range.
That's just Mel's. So actually,
Oh, sorry. Can you give me those numbers again?
Well, excuse me, this is interesting because I think the information that you just reported was that the starting or the start range was 84, whereas the position actually had to start at 75, 762, 97.
Well, the state obviously probably chose a number, just like we are.
I'm sorry. I thought you told me that what your information you were given was that the range was from.
No, that's what she started. This individual started at that level.
Okay, so the range, according to the position description, is 75, 762, 97, and the max is 136, 373, 35. How are your fingers doing there?
I'm skipping the cents. I figure the pennies we can. So we're looking at about 106 or so. I would propose that because, like Jorge said, that, or Commissioner Diaz said that dollars now are not the same as dollars in 2016, I would be comfortable going into like the 112, 115 range kind of area. Again, I'm just throwing a number out, but those of you who do this employment stuff law could really help out.
Well, what I do wouldn't really help.
Oh, well.
I would feel comfortable starting Reverend Tucker at roughly what Mel was making when she left. I understand Mel may have more education, but Reverend Tucker has more experience. So I think education and experience sort of morph. I don't know that you need to be a lawyer to do this job. I'm not sure you need to be a lawyer to do any job, quite frankly. But
Yeah.
so I would say 120, 121,
Great.
something like that feels comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable going over that. That seems inappropriate to me, but that's where I would recommend.
And I think that's fine. The one thing I'll say is typically, I believe, you acknowledge some learning trajectory that has to happen when you come into a job the first time. And so to take off exactly where the last person was in when they were at the peak knowledge of the actual job function is not as typical. But so I just want to put that out there, that there is a lot that's going to happen in the next year, and whatever promotions and bonuses and not bonuses, it's government, but.
So could I just say, taking the 121 and maybe giving a year of learning that we said was about 6,100, so that's right around 115. Does that sound like a good thing? So that after a year.
I'm not going to argue with anybody on what they say. I think 120, 121 is fair.
Sure.
It doesn't seem like a lot of money to get rich. It seems like it's a pretty hard job that's going to demand a lot of effort and work. And so I feel like people ought to be fairly compensated. I feel like if Metro Human Resources wanted us to offer less, they should have given us some more guidance. And so
That's right. Okay.
that's where I feel that it should be. But I'm not going to fight with anybody about it.
Sure. Okay, then can we have someone suggest a motion for the salary of 120 or 121 in the job offer to Davey Tucker as executive director?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'm going to second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then the motion so moves. I'm so excited. Good work, guys. Yes. Okay, let's move on. Any public comments?
Well, if I can ask a question, so what is the process at this point going forward?
I inform Wanda Hadley, and she makes the offer.
And then what happens?
And then we set a start date, which we discussed a little bit in our meeting,
Okay,
for ideally, I believe it was the end of April,
okay.
if possible. And because of do you remember having this conversation, Metro's processes, you need to be here for 1 month before so-and-so kicks in, et cetera. It was yeah, exactly. So we
Okay.
wanted to start them at the end of the
Okay, so what happens if Reverend Tucker can't extricate himself from his current obligations by the end of April?
I mean, I guess it'll come back to the hiring committee and we can show, I don't know. I don't want to comment on that.
Okay.
So she will probably bring it back and, well, whatever needs to happen. If it's another public meeting between us or if it's an easy just, can we extend it 6 more weeks or 2 more weeks or 5 more weeks and we all agree to that because it seems like a pretty majority vote, then we probably could make that concession.
We also have another public comment.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure of the process.
You can. I'm still learning, but go ahead.
Thank you. Phyllis Hildreth.
Dr. Hildreth, thank you so much for that comment. We appreciate it. It's nice to be acknowledged, so thank you so much. We hope to upstand those. And I want to say that we are standing on top of tall shoulders or whatever that saying is, because we did learn a lot from your experience and from what we gathered about past recruitment that really prepared us to do this to the best we can. So we appreciate those that came before us. So thank you. Okay. If that's all for public comment, I'd like to invite any announcements. I know we've put so many things on hold these 3 months. I miss our old meetings as much as you do. I am very excited to move forward and start dealing with all the things happening in our city while we sleep. And there is a lot, and I've talked to a couple of people about some of the things that are on the agenda to come up soon to deal with equity issues and et cetera. So I look forward to seeing you next month and we get back down to business now that this is handled. I'm giddy and I kind of want to laugh and cry now that this is over. I really appreciate the executive committee. You guys, thank you so much for reading the emails and for showing up. It was not convenient at all all. There was a lot of hours dedicated to this, so thank you for being great partners, and for the broader commission for having tough questions for us and positing very difficult things. And I also just want to say that I have two gifts for Commissioner Richmond and Commissioner Mann. We can give it to you. Can you bring one over? We are greatly, greatly indebted to you. And I just want to, did you already give her one?
On the back, at the bottom right, there is a letter.
Oh, each one for each one. Okay. I'm going to give that to you.
There's about a twin.
You can find, it's one for Mann and one for,
I didn't look.
there's a letter. I don't see a letter. Oh, maybe here.
On the outside.
On the outside of the bag. Bottom right.
I don't see any letters, Barbara. Maybe you got to come do
There should
this.
be a letter on the bottom.
A letter,
L or
not a, just
Yeah, no letter, nothing. I don't see anything.
No marking?
Okay, I'll let her deal with it. Anyway, thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate you've both been incredible while I've been on this commission, and your guidance and your thoughts and just really being present. I really appreciate it. Commissioner Mann, you came to the interviews in the middle of the day out there in Dobson, and just you show up, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing your service outside of the commission and hopefully crossing paths with both of you. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that. Yes?
It's okay, if you don't, if either of you don't mind opening the meeting, because it's from the board and the commission. Do you,
If you find a letter in there that's not yours, then switch.
yes, I have the correct one.
Just magic.
Just got lucky.
Yeah.
We will accept our 50-50 shot.
We open this?
I believe so. She's taking video.
Button. First, thank you. This is lovely, unexpected. These past 6 years have flown by. I appreciated the opportunity to serve the community, all of the communities that make up Nashville. Of course, I had a unique position of being a first and representing a constituency that had never had a seat at the table before. That was really special. I hope that I've made Nashville a little better place for people. And even in supporting and advocating for those groups I don't belong to, I think it's important. I'm a native, not that it matters, but I'm a native. I've seen how much Nashville has changed, and I like to think I've been a little part of that. And I appreciate Phyllis and Davey and all the people, including Frank, who, we lost him a few years ago, but who've served with me on this commission. Mel, of course, and all the wonderful staff I've worked with. I hope I get a chance to continue working with the commission in some way, and I appreciate this opportunity, and thank you.
And I also want to express my gratitude to this commission because, as you see, Nashville has changed greatly, and there are a lot of people who are being left out of the progress. And so it's very important that this commission fight for those people. So as we say, it'll be a Nashville for all. And so the work of this commission is very much needed. And I look forward to Reverend Davey taking it to the next level, and again, just being a very inclusive city. And I will pop in from time to time. And if you need help, I'm available.
Thank you so much. Thank you, both of you.
So under announcements,
Under announcements.
so following up on our public hearing on public safety, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are in an election time, and among the positions that are being voted on are very important positions with respect to criminal justice. There are positions for General Sessions Court judges, for criminal court judges, and the District Attorney General. Nashville Organizing for Action and Hope and its community partners have sponsored 3 candidate forums to date. There are 2 more tomorrow night and Thursday night. All of them will be on the NOAA Facebook page. I encourage everybody to go to them, pay attention, learn what you can about the candidate, and vote for the candidate of your choice.
I also have a quick announcement. I know people want to get out of here, but I just want to give a whole lot of credit to Commissioner Ava Fazli and just all the work that she's done. And I know that she's in a delirious trance right now, that we're very close to the end. We're not there yet, but very close to the end. So I just wanted to express my gratitude for all your work on this.
Thank you all so much for trusting me. I was thrown into this, and you didn't expect that to happen. So it was kind of ad hoc, but I tried my best, and you guys had great questions and helped guide me and remind me to run back and call Derek and run back and call Wanda. Derek, I might not be calling you every day anymore. I don't know. But I hope we did. I hope we did.
Actually, I wasn't always at my best.
Yeah, right. It was like, Mariam. Anyway, so thank everyone. Thank you, Barbara and Mark. Thanks everyone for helping me as I jumped into the deep end with this. And I hope we did right by our constituents with the choice that we made. And look forward to 3 more years. Let's go. Let's make some change. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.